Hey, welcome back. It's your man Wise. Today, we're checking out another clip from our guy, Doug in Exile. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, goes at Ilhan Omar over the craziness happening on our college campuses all across the country. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment down below. I appreciate all the love and support. And without further ado, let's go.
Speaker Mike Johnson and the House Republicans got together and they're addressing these protests that have taken over many of our U.S. institutions. They're going to have a few of what their plan is to defund this stuff is by the end. But this is also a political strategy. This is to help Trump. It's time to call the Democrats for what they are and what their institution is doing. And they really are the evil at the top of this thing and keeping it funded on these campuses. I'm just going to let them kind of speak and I'll pop in every once in a while. But welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are.
What up, Doug?
Is it too late to save the universities? Because I don't know how you get this rot out. The Republicans, this is a half effort. It's not enough. But, you know, it's good to see them at least spend a few calories on the subject. Now watch this. There's good, righteous indignation in their voice.
Over the last few weeks, we've seen absolute lawlessness and chaos on college and university campuses across America.
Where are the police? Where is security? Where are these people? Where is authority here?
The anti-Jewish hatred was appalling. We heard firsthand from students who are living in fear because of the pro-Hamas agitators who have taken over their campus. After I met with President Shafik, it was clear that she has lost control of her campus and she needs to step down. The first and most obvious responsibility of a university administrator is to ensure the safety and security of their students. If an administrator cannot ensure that, they have missed their first assignment.
Okay, so that's the first call out is he's going after the president of Columbia saying she needs to step down because she's failed. You'll see other calls for her to step down, but that's a good start. So, and they're going to have a committee hearing, by the way, where they're bringing all of these campus presidents in for a hearing. And that's when the real juicy stuff comes out, when they have to face this investigation.
And what we're seeing right now is people wave Hezbollah flags and Hamas flags, their homemade signs supporting what happened on October 7th. It's outrageous. Hamas endorsed the protest at Columbia University.
It's being funded and endorsed by Hamas. That's only some of the money. There's some deep Soros communist money. We'll get to that at the end too. Very interesting.
So what that means is that the United States is actually funding this? Because if I'm not mistaken, our fearless leader gave Iran $6 billion. We have no idea how much of that money was given to Hamas. And then they in turn fund these campus protests that are happening nationwide. Is that just the circle of life of supporting a country that Trump cut the spigot off to? This is outrageous, man. The American people need to know this. I don't think a lot of people know exactly what's going on and who's funding those people over there. The word's going to get out, though.
What do they have to do with environmentalism? Why would they be from the same funding sources as that? Other than they despise America, want to undermine our strength. And that's because they are against our liberty. But this is a great investigation by Mike Johnson. Just remember, when they say that they wave a Hamas flag, that is a genocidal flag that they're waving.
They're proudly chanting things like death to America and profanity and hate-filled slogans. And this is utterly despicable. And it cannot be accepted in this country.
I also want to thank the Speaker for making this a priority for all of House Republicans. It is clear that Jewish families across this country, Americans across this country, are looking for moral clarity, and we are going to deliver where these higher education institutions have failed. America watched in disgust as President Shafik allowed an anti-Semitic pro-terrorist mob to storm and seize an academic building, holding faculty inside, flying pro-Hamas signs, and damaging property.
That's the big one to me. Don't bring up freedom of speech. That's not freedom of speech. Breaking a window is not freedom of speech. Intimidating students, organizing a mob, taking over a university is not freedom of speech.
Not to mention, not just taking over a university, but when you start damaging property, threatening the lives of other students, causing bodily harm to students that are not in line with you, that are not lockstep with you, people that you consider, quote unquote, the enemy, that's a problem. This is America. Absolutely nothing wrong with protesting. But when you start infringing on the rights of others with your protest, that's when I and we all should have a problem. That's when we should all have a problem. And the fact that this individual, Dr. Shafiq or Mrs. Shafiq, I don't want to come across as prejudiced or sound racist, but that name, I'm assuming she has some form of Islamic roots. Is there some compassion there? Is there, is she siding, with these people silently? And I'm a firm believer that silence gives consent. So what's really going on?
Let the left fool you, and they're hiding behind that. We saw that on the View episode earlier. The View's like, oh, we believe in freedom of speech. Don't even bring it up. This is not freedom of speech.
Joe Biden, far-left Democrat governors like my home state in New York, and morally bankrupt university leaders have allowed this moral rot of anti-Semitism to fester, refusing to enforce the laws and refusing to ensure the safety of Jewish students. And it's not just Columbia. This is a moral rot that has taken root across American higher education institutions.
It's a social contagion. It spreads if you don't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And now all the students, they kind of catch it and just go, I am outraged about something. You've even seen video footage of some of them going, I'm not sure why I'm protesting on behalf of Palestine, but whatever it is, we're for them. This is what unites in the intersectionalism of it might be, you'll see queers for Palestine and things like that.
That is the craziest sign that I've seen. And the people that are part of the alphabet community riding for Palestine, do they not know those people would not accept them over there? Do they not know that?
Environmentalists will come out. Antifa will come out. These are disruptors come out because they all have the same thing in common. Now, she's already called out Biden. Where's Joe Biden on this?
Weekend at Bernie's.
Governor DeSantis rejects your Title IX rules.
I like how the press guy was trying to bait Biden to come over and answer a question by saying, hey, DeSantis rejected your Title IX rule. That's the Title IX rule expansion where they're trying to expand it to to include trans people. That is, if you come out against it and say, I'm against this procedure, you can be nailed for hate speech, hate crime, get your business shut down. That's what Biden is doing. Remember when all your friends that were pro-rainbow used to say, how does our marriage affect your marriage? Well, now you're seeing it.
Now you see it.
Now if you speak out against a trans person participating on a female sports league, it's a hate crime. I'm going to go ahead and run Biden stumbling back to his helicopter, ducking the press, because one thing they do not want is for Biden to ever talk to the press. They're like, no, we don't do that. Over Elise Stefanik.
Enough is enough. It is time to restore law and order, academic integrity, and moral decency to America's higher education institutions. Joe Biden has been deafeningly silent. So I want to thank again the speaker, as well as all of our chairs who will ensure this is a top priority for House Republicans. There can be no moral equivalency. It is time to send a clear message to the world.
We're here to deliver a message to the university administrators who have chosen to be complicit in these movements for hate rather than taking action. And we're here to deliver a message to Hamas, Iran, and members of the squad, including my Minnesota colleague Ilhan Omar, who have all endorsed these anti-Semitic protests that enough is enough. Accountability is here.
He just called out Ilhan Omar of the squad.
What started out 5 days ago with only 70 students organizing themselves at Columbia University has now led to a nationwide university movement.
Squad that includes Rashida Tlaib, the guy that pulled the fire alarm,
Cori Bush,
and AOC,
Jamal Bowman.
So the squad are very pro-Hamas, very anti-Israel.
Oh yeah, and obviously
calling
anti-America.
Them out. So look forward to a censure within the body against them by Republicans.
Since October 7th, when a terrorist organization backed by Iran, known as Hamas, invaded Israel, we saw a war declared on them. And Israel said, we're going to defend our state. And you saw, by the way, these colleagues here and so many of my House colleagues stand and say, we support Israel's right to defend themselves as a Jewish state. But something else alarming that you started to see happen after that is when we started taking action here. And that is when you started seeing anti-Semitism grow here in the United States, here on college campuses, and in fact, here on the House floor by some of our colleagues on the other side.
Like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I saw that anti-Semitism myself arise among my peers. I have Jewish friends that have always talked about this problem, and I just go, yeah, you're probably exaggerating, you're probably hypersensitive, whatever. Well, after October 7th, I saw it come out firsthand myself on my Twitter feed. Some of them are my friends, and I just go, what happened? What did Israel do to earn this? And all the weird conspiracies come up by nut jobs. I have no room for their conspiracies of the Jews control everything and Hollywood and the banks. It's the same stuff we've been hearing for 50 years against the Jews. It's ridiculous. And that needs to get laughed out of the Republican Party. It's certainly out of the right. Leave it in the left, because we have an election. We want to win this election, and we want to support Israel, our ally.
As Republican leaders, we have a clear message for mealy-mouthed, spineless college leaders. Congress will not tolerate your dereliction of duty to your Jewish students. American universities are officially put on notice that we have come to take our universities back.
What's more, universities that can't protect their students are not in compliance with their funding obligations through the National Science Foundation.
And now these are the parade of government funding for these universities that the House is threatening to pull. They control the purse strings. We're talking about hundreds of $millions, certainly given to universities for science, let's say. We use it to develop vaccines, cure for cancer. Our military uses it. And it's really where the biggest breakthroughs have come through our universities, through this funding of the sciences, because it's not always profitable to do good science.
True. And that's how you get them. You start messing with the money, you start slowing down that government dole, and that's how you get their attention. They'll put a cease to all of this when you tell them, hey, we're going to cut the spigot off on that funding towards your university or to your college if y'all don't get this foolishness in order. It's ridiculous how bad things are right now. So much so that you have some students that are afraid to walk around on campus. You have others that have had to band together to stand up and fight against these woke, crazy lunatics. It's outrageous, man.
So now the government can come back and say, you're not compliant in that you are an organization of hate and protecting hate. So these are all the different ways they're going to pull the plug. Watch this.
Imagine being a Jewish American, knowing that part of your hard-earned paycheck is going to fund professors' research while they threaten students and actively indoctrinate and radicalize the next generation.
First, how many students on a visa have engaged in the radical activity we've seen now day after day on college campuses? How many have engaged in this activity, endorsing or espousing terrorist activity on a college campus? Question two, if you know that number, have you asked the State Department to revoke the visas, to revoke their visas?
Yeah.
And then third, and maybe most importantly to Secretary Mayorkas, if you've done that, if you know that answer, have you started removal proceedings?
I'm with Jim Jordan on that. Pull their visa. If they're a guest student, come over here and doing all this, shutting down a university, you get deported. Pull it. Of course, Mayorkas has no interest in this.
Oh, of course he doesn't. But if you're over here on an F1 visa, meaning you're just here to go to school, you up here cutting up, acting a fool, you got to go. Get them up out of here. I said that a couple of days ago. Any student that is participating in any of these protests across the country that is on an F1 visa, and I would assume that there is a large amount, I would assume they got to go. Get him up out of here.
But hopefully the Republicans can put a fire under him and pressure him through preferably Jewish voters that need to be abandoning Biden, because you know what, if you're Jewish and you're voting for Biden, I don't get it. I don't get it. as Sam Kinison used to say, rock against drugs, that's like Christians against Christ.
True.
That's the same thing with the Jews voting for this party of Ilhan Omar.
They have a responsibility to the American taxpayer to ensure that they are fulfilling their educational requirements as tax-exempt organizations, as well as protecting students from intimidation, harassment, and violence.
The failure of Columbia University to address the pro-Hamas mob is an appalling lack of leadership. Now we are witnessing copycat anti-Israel protests pop up at universities across the country. These radical protests threatening violence against Jews are anything but organic. It appears global elites are funding these hateful protests in pop-up tent cities. These are the same groups that fund other radical agendas, including diminishing America's energy production and pushing soft on crime policies.
That's Alvin Bragg, soft on crime. That's Letitia James.
Soft on
That's
crime.
Fani Willis. Soft on crime policies. They're getting the same funding. Energy sector, the environmentalist movement, the anti-oil movement, same money. These are radical, Marxist, socialists taking over your country's institutions. They're very well funded. By the way, they started looking at the pup tents that were being put up in these colleges, and they were all the same brand of pup tent, like they were purchased in bulk. So it's not an organic, shanty community that might pop up in some homeless encampment. These were all like uniform, the same tent. So they were purchased en masse and given to the students by these kind of globalist, anti-American guys. This is treason. If the Democrats are in on this, they got to get called out. I want names. I want Ilhan Omar.
Absolutely. If the Democrats are in on this, they need to be called out. They need to be put up on charges and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I think same thing when it comes to these college students. The people that caused damage up at Columbia University, those people out in UCLA that attacked that young lady, those people down in North Carolina that threw bottles at the frat brothers that was protecting the American flag, they need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Absolutely. And these tents, I remember I was talking to one of my friends in the gym this morning. I was like, yo, why do all these tents look the same? It looks like these tents were bought in bulk by somebody. They all look the same. There is an evil agenda happening in this nation. We've seen it during the George Floyd riots, and we're seeing it now. Down in Florida, the few people that were arrested, I believe it was on the campus of University of Florida, they were not even college students. So how many of these people on these campuses across the country don't even attend the universities that they're protesting at? Goodness gracious, man. What is going on in this nation, man? What is going on, and who is funding this foolishness? Where is the FBI at? Where is the investigative arm of this administration to really dig deep and find out who's funding this foolishness? Somebody let me know, because what's going on right now is completely outrageous. And it's unfortunate because you have a lot of kids that are down there in the mix and they have no idea why they're down there and what they're down there for. I said it earlier, I would put any amount of money on it that most of those people protesting, if they're American citizens, they couldn't point to Palestine on a map. They couldn't do it. And when you see the alphabet community for Palestine, those people wouldn't be accepted down there. They wouldn't be accepted in Iran. Are you kidding? It's a joke, man. It is a joke. But let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment down below. I appreciate all the love and support. Keep God first in your life, man. Stay prayed up. As you can see, it is crazy out here in these streets. And I'm going to catch up with you all next time. Peace.